In less than 24 hours, a brand new Miss Universe Philippines title holder will be crowned. So today we're going to be talking about one of the most important moments in the competition, which is of course the closed door interviews. Being a Miss Universe Philippines is a lot more than just performers and glamour. You have to have the gift of connecting with others, and this is when the preliminary interview plays a key role in the selection process of the new title holder. For today's video, I have selected my top 10 standouts of this particular competition, and of course, I'm gonna be telling you all about it today. As usual, I hope that you guys enjoy this type of video and most importantly that you find some sort of value in it. So without further ado, let's start talking about my standout. Before we get into it, I just want to disclose that this list is in no particular order. I basically just went through all of the interviews and wrote down my thoughts about the ones that stood out in my opinion. To begin with, I would like to talk about Miss Tiffany Jenssen, of course, representing Cebu. And listen, there is absolutely no shock here. Chris is an extremely eloquent, classy woman, a woman of substance, and that's exactly what transpired all throughout her interview. She speaks with a lot of confidence, with a lot of humility, and most importantly, a lot of likability, which I think is so important for a title holder to have. She embodies the grace that I really like to see in a beauty queen, and that's something that I have been saying about her since the very beginning of the competition. If you go through my reviews, through my comments, through my hot picks, that's always something that keeps on coming back when it comes to Chris. I also would like to point out that basically she brings out the maturity and the calmness that I think you can only get with experience and with age, most importantly, while at the same time she still delivers on the looks and the edge that you will need for this type of competition. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that although some fans like to point out the age thing and all of these things, I do believe that to a certain extent it can also be a strength. And because this is one of the very first edition where the age restrictions have been completely lifted, it is the first time that we get to see these women in motion. And Chris is the living example that this can be executed so beautifully. Let's move on and talk about another one of the standouts, who is, of course, Chelsea Manalo representing Bulacan. All right, I loved the aspect of her interview where she talked about turning her hardships into power. I thought that Chelsea was also an extremely eloquent, natural speaker. I mean, this girl is so good when she grabs the microphone at connecting with the people who are asking the questions, the people in the room. At no point I felt like it was just like a one-directional conversation, but she was kind of addressing everyone and making sure that she hits all of the points to connect with every single one of the people in the room. Very relatable as well. One thing that I enjoyed and that I was very attentive, not just to Chelsea, but everyone else, was that she wasn't scared to crack a joke or two, meaning that sometimes these questions can be quite heavy, quite serious, but by sometimes just adding a little bit of humor, she lightens up the mood in the room and is able to make light out of sometimes, very dark topics. She talked about facing bullying and people telling her that she's not beautiful because of her background, because of her skin color. And I love basically her approach to all of it, embracing her inner beauty. And when everyone told her, basically so many people told her that she's not beautiful, that she cannot make it, she decided to go for and become a model. Out of all the careers, she became basically a reference for beauty. And I thought that was so empowering, right? Inspiring. That's what I'm trying to say. Moving on, let's talk about Miss Victoria Leslie Ingram, who is representing Mandaue. For quite some time, I have been talking about Leslie, or Victoria, however you want to call her. I think that, she brings something fresh, something unique to the table, especially in terms of her performance. This is something that I've been saying for quite some time now. And you know what was the biggest surprise for me? The same level of performance that she can deliver on stage, she can also deliver when she grabs the microphone and she speaks. She is just as intriguing. She is just as attention grabbing. She is just as interesting. And I always had a little bit of a specific interest about her background because Leslie speaks openly about being an artist. She's a singer, and at the same time she is a nurse, so she has that duality going on with her between arts and science that I think it's very rare to find because most people have a tendency for arts or a tendency for science, but I have rarely come across people who are able to mix both backgrounds. I also really like Victoria's approach to empowering others, to inspiring others, not just through her story, but also as being someone who stand out. I mean, just with her styling and everything, she looks different from a lot of for most of the candidates in the room, and she's very open about wanting to break the mold, break the stereotypes, break basically the prototypes that we envision when we think of a beauty queen. So Victoria, this was definitely a home run. Let's talk about Kyla, Jean Carter, representing Northern California. And listen, me out of all people, I have been saying for a while that Kyla has had a rocky path towards the Miss Universe Philippines crown. And yes, although there have been a lot of downs along the road, I have to be honest and I have to give Kyla her flowers. This have been one of the peaks of Kyla in the competition. I have known for quite some time now that Kyla is an eloquent speaker. She's very good, handling the microphone, just carrying herself publicly. And I think that this interview really embodies all of that. As I said, this is one of the highlights of her journey so far. She's extremely eloquent. She speaks with a lot of wisdom, with substance. She knows how to stand her ground and make people want to listen to her, which I think is so important when you're a Miss Universe Philippines or a Miss Universe. It's all about being able to grab people's attention and walking into a room and making sure that every single eye is on you, every single ear is paying attention to what you're saying. It all boils down to this. I thought even during prelims that the presentation was a little bit rough, but we must give her flowers and recognize that Kyla has had so far one of the best interviews, at least in this particular year. So very good for you, Kyla. Let's talk about Dr. Raven, Miss Palawan. And one of my notes that I wrote down is impressive. We have to give it to this girl at only 18 years old. She has exceeded my expectation in every single sense of the word when it comes to her communication skills. I mean, already someone at such a young age that has, such a good dominance of the language. I think that it needs to be highlighted. This is inspiring just by itself, being able to communicate your ideas in such a mature, rational way, full of substance. Honestly, I see her as a role model. We know that she has been praised all throughout the competition for her performance. She's very tall, very model-less. She carries herself on stage so well. And just to see that she has the chops to basically match that performance with great comm skills is just a delight. I also want to give her basically recognition because during this interaction, I learned a lot more about her story, her struggles, and to be honest, she's able to talk about it very openly and come across as very likable, which once again, it's very important. We knew already that she's a great performer, and now that we know that she is also a great speaker, I think that a couple of the front runners should be worried if Miss Dr. Raven was ever to be called into the top 5 and have the chance to answer the Q&A portion. Let me know if you agree with me in the comment section down below. Moving on to another one of the extremely eloquent girls in the batch, and we have Miss Stacy Gabriel, of course, representing Kainta. And I mean, how to describe Stacy's communication skills? At this point, I think I found the right word. I put my finger on it, and is passionate. Okay, Stacy is a passionate speaker. She does not shy away from delivering deep and inspiring and substantial conversations. And there is always a guiding line that ties it all together and that really helps her to make sense. What I mean is, when you ask Stacy a question, she will not necessarily go right away into a linear answer and give you the obvious answer to that question. She will sometimes use a metaphor, an example. She will go in a way, she will get away from the obvious answer and build an image and then serve it to you as an answer. She will make sense out of it. And I really, really enjoy that. Granted, this type of rhetoric, this type of level of vocabulary is not always accessible to everyone. So I think that there is a time and place for this type of conversations. But I have to agree also that the preliminary interview, it is one of those places where you can where you have an interest to showcase your chops in terms of your communication skills. So definitely no complaints when it comes to that. I also like the fact that Stacy can blend perfectly her inspirational approach when it comes to speech while simultaneously delivering, something that is very conversational, that is not so forced, that is not so serious. If you watch her video, you will notice that she cracks a joke or two here and there, and she's able to, make a joke and, interact with others. And if they give her something, she can use that and feed out of it and turn it into something else, So I really like that about her. I like that she uses real life examples to justify her answers. She often even quotes her mom, her Lola. So that makes it even more relatable, more accessible when you see that the girl is really grounded and connected to her roots. If that makes sense. All right, let's talk about another one of the fan favorites of the batch that honestly no surprises here as well. I'm talking about Victoria Velasquez Vincent representing Baco Or. Okay, so I must admit, Victoria faced her questions fearlessly. That's exactly what I wrote down on my notes. And she was able to provide solid answers to every single one of those questions. It's very true. Victoria did not shy away from personal, touchy questions, borderline sensitive because they were talking about her experience being kidnapped. The mom was present in the room during the interview. So, of course, these are subjects that can be quite touchy and you can be very sensitive about because we're talking about trauma, not just for you as an individual, but for your family, right? And I think that Victoria was very open, very generous with her answer. And most importantly, she was able to I felt like she was able to distance herself from the trauma and look at it basically from above, and talk about what she learned from the experience, how the experience changed her, how it consolidated her relationship with her mom, with the family. And I just thought it was overall extremely inspiring. I also really liked the way that she tackled the question about declining the title for Miss Universe New Zealand back in the day because she wanted to honor the title that she had earned at the time for Miss Universe Philippines charity. So I thought that was a very smart way to basically showcase her loyalty towards Miss Universe Philippines and how her speech about being a Filipina, regardless of the fact that she didn't grow up in the Philippines all the time, to make it seem genuine and coming straight from the heart. Right. So I thought that she was able to link it perfectly. And, coming out of that message of staying loyal to Miss Universe Philippines, it already feeds into the reason of why she should be the next Miss Universe Philippines because basically she made it seem like it's coming straight from the heart. So to me, this was effortless from the first question. Not only Victoria answered perfectly, but she was also able to make links between the answers and basically make it so smooth, so effortless. So hands down, one of the best interviews of the batch, perhaps even the best. I don't know. As I told you, this is not in any particular order, but I think Victoria did have one of the best interactions. Moving on to a girl that I know basically her communication skills because she was one of the guests here on the channel for an interview, of course, Christy McGary from Taguig. I absolutely love Christy's very relaxed approach to the interview. She's often laughing, she's often dropping a little joke here and there. And I think that's part of the beauty of Christy. Of course, she grew up abroad. I guess that English is her first language. Maybe that contributes to the fact that she is so at ease having this type of closed door interviews. Although it is not, forbidden for the girls to speak in their local language, it's actually encouraged. So there is also that. Christy is in a particular position right now, in my opinion, because she is an accomplished woman. And when she speaks, you can feel that energy. Christy started joining pageants 14 years ago, basically. So by this point in her career, coming back to Miss Universe Philippines, it's almost like a gift, from God, something that she was not expecting. And because of the changes in eligibility, she is able to join once again. If you don't consider that, Christy already had a career. Christy already is recognized. Christy already has a legacy. So coming back to Miss Universe Philippines, it's kind of a bonus. And when she speaks, you can feel that energy. It's very positive. It's very optimistic. She feels very grateful about the opportunity. And I think that gives it basically a beautiful base to begin with. The fact that she has so much experience professionally already in life, the fact that she brings so much maturity, so much wisdom that comes with age as well, plus the experience that she has had from years prior in the field of pageantry. Up until now, Christy still feels to me like a threat to win the crown during finals. So I know that a lot of people are already kind of making up their minds and picking up a winner, but I feel like Christy is not out of the way during finals. Go ahead and get that crown. Let me know if you agree with that. All right, everyone, the last two girls on my list, and perhaps the most awaited. Let's start by talking about Alexi Brooks, Miss Ilo, delivering eloquence, as we know that she is capable of delivering, as I knew that she would. I was one of the lucky people that got the chance to interview Alexi, and it's something that I was very transparent with you guys, that I even highlighted during our interview. I made sure that the interview wasn't edited. There were no cuts from beginning to end. It was um, a smooth conversation, a fluid conversation. Basically, there was nothing altered during that conversation. Alexi is able, she's not just a great speaker, she is also a great listener. When you ask her a question, she takes a moment to analyze the question, what you're actually asking from her, and she will basically deliver back to you an answer that is full of substance, that is well justified. I think that her vocabulary is okay as well. So it is no question that Alexi is one of the best speakers of the entire batch. She speaks with confidence, with a lot of impact, and all of those things were reflected here during her closed door interview. I have been seeing a couple of comments of some people not really liking the approach of Alexi of being so confident about being the right person to win the title of Miss Universe Philippines. But to be honest, let's have a conversation around it. I think that at this particular time, if you ask this question to every single one of the candidates in the competition, they will all tell you that they are the right one to win the crown for whatever reason. They will all have a different justification for it. And in reality, what Alexis said, which is that she represents the people, she is the queen for the people, it's not a lie. When you look at the amount of support and people rooting for Alexi, it is undeniable that although some people might not like her, a vast majority of people are also behind Alexi. So in that sense, I don't feel like she was sounding basically too confident, or some people were saying that she lacks humility. I think that Alexi was kind of approaching it as a fact, as a given. It is impossible in any situation, in any country, in any pageant, that you will have basically the support of 100% of the audience. But it is undeniable that Alexi has managed, with her charisma, with her skills, with her performance, with her story, with her background, to conquer the hearts of many people all over the world. And last but not least, I wanted to talk about Atisa Manalo representing Quezon Province. One day I will be able to say that in Atisa's voice. My thoughts about Atisa is that her interview was very light and conversational. And to be honest, I quite enjoyed that, because going through this entire long video analyzing the conversations of every single one of the candidates, some people tend to push it a little bit more. Some people tend to make it a little bit too serious. Some people tend to make it a little bit too sad. Like, I could start playing the violin when they're telling me their stories. Atisa is one of those girls that keeps the conversation light, but still substantial. She is relatable, which I think is so important in this day and age, especially with everything, with social media, and how much the title holder in today's society is able to connect with the people directly. She needs to be able to sell herself, to market herself by being relatable. As much as Atisa sometimes lacks deep impact, she's not one of those girls who will go on stage, grab the mic, and make a statement and drop the microphone. You have to give her to her that she overflows with a lot of charisma, with a lot of likability, and in my opinion, that is just as important as impact. I still feel like if Atisa was to be crowned Miss Universe Philippines, there are a few things that needs to be addressed in terms of her comm skills, but I know for a fact, I am very confident that Atisa will have basically the support system and the right resources to address those areas. As of right now, if she was to be crowned Miss Universe Philippines, I wouldn't have a problem. But now, the biggest question remains. All of these girls are excellent speakers in their own right. But if you put some of them in the top 5, who do you think will come out of it victorious. Let me know in the comment section who is your ideal top 5 for the competition and who do you think is going to drop the mic and go home with a crown. I will be reading you in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, guys. I know that there has been so much content recently leading up to the finals of Miss Universe Philippines. In less than 24 hours, we will have a new winner. So thank you for the journey. Thank you for tagging along with me. And remember, if you enjoyed this type of content, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, share with a friend, and join the channel if you want to support even further. I will see you in perhaps just a couple of hours with more content about Miss Universe Philippines. And yeah, stay safe. See you soon.